Traffic.
Okay na.
Well, it's gone. Expected. At least wa mag-uwan.
Yes.
Kung nag-uwan, mas grabe to.
Correct.
Yeah.
How long will you be here in Cebu?
Well, tomorrow, maglargamitan ng igsuon ko yung si Daddy. He's going on this, visit the places that he went to when he was a young lawyer in 1954. Muadto mi sa Spain, to Saragossa.
Wow. Stay.
Saragossa is where you have with Our Lady of the Pilar, Nuestra Señora del Pilar, made her appearance. And he was there in 1954. Kaya siya, palit siya medalya sa kuan, del Pilar. Pagbalik niya, gisulob ni Mami. And she was pregnant with me. And lo and behold, I was born on her feast day, October 12. Monang, my second name is Pilar, her husband Pilar. So, bubisita siya ito. Kasi siya sa ibang places where Our Lady made her. Sa Lourdes, sa Fatima. Kuyog yung tanan, walo ko magsuon, ug ang mga anak. So, we're a big group.
It's a big group.
You ready, man?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, thank you for joining us today. Thank you. This is the Freeman Conversations, and we are chatting with the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Philippines. She needs no introduction to us Cebuanos, but we'd like to congratulate her because she has just been chosen as chairperson of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace in the Philippines. This is going to be a very casual, free-flowing conversation, so if you're watching us, please feel free to join in the conversation, post your comments. If you have questions, we can ask them for you to our Congresswoman. And of course, today we'll be discussing quite a few things. We'll be talking about her legislative agenda, the pieces of legislation she is supporting and perhaps not supporting. We'll also be talking about movements in government, and of course, we'll be talking about her role in the parliamentarians group. So this afternoon, we'd like to welcome Deputy Speaker Gwen Garcia. Ma'am, thank you so much for dropping by and spending time with us.
It's my pleasure.
Also joining us in the room, we have one of our senior reporters and a political reporter, Michelle Palaabsanan. We also have with us the news editor of the Freeman, Fred Languido over here, our reporter in Banat News, Brenda Batuto, and of course our publisher, Jerry Tandag, who will be asking questions later. And we also have reporters in the Freeman with us today. So, first of all, we'd like to congratulate you on your appointment, or is this election
Well,
as chairperson?
Yes. As chairperson of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, Philippine chapter.
Mhm.
This is the first time that the IAPP Philippine chapter has been put together. Of course, former Speaker Joe De Venecia was very instrumental in naming me, in having me named as chairperson of the IAPP Philippines. He is the present co-chair of the regional IAPP. So, since this is Parliamentarians for Peace, its members are members of Congress.
Mhm.
So we have other congressmen, like for example, Congressman Leopoldo Batawil, who is the president of IAPP Philippines, and the vice president is Christopher De Venecia.
So far, is there any projects or program initiated for this group?
We
Maybe
had
you could
just
tell us also first, what does the group do? What is the relevance of the group to the Philippines?
this was first conceived way back in 2001, realizing that many of the world's problems, such as hunger, poverty, environmental degradation, even terrorism, must be addressed on a collaborative manner. And parliamentarians play a great role in that they are able to pass legislation or laws that would address such problems. So when there is a cooperative and collaborative effort between countries, by the sharing of experiences, by sharing of role models, or even cases by which any of these problems have been, to a certain extent, successfully addressed, then we are able to move closer to that which we all really seek, and that is peace. These problems necessarily are those that cause conflict. And when there is conflict, then peace becomes an elusive goal. So this has been going on, but in 2016, 150 parliamentarians coming from several countries signed a declaration stating that they would henceforth work for the attainment of peace by addressing these common problems. And so that is the goal. It's a lofty goal. It's always an ideal. It's something like beauty pageant candidates would talk about for world peace.
Yes.
But you know, if you really think about it, when hands reach across countries or even continents, but not just, you know, a pair of hands, hands that are actually involved in crafting of laws.
Is the membership automatic if you are a member of Congress, for example?
Yeah, so that when these hands reach across, then we are given a better shot at achieving peace. Now, membership, of course, first qualification is you have to be a parliamentarian. And it is by invitation. And so that when we took our oaths in the assembly that was recently conducted in Manila Hotel, we also invited a number of members of Congress to become founding members. So there were also other congressmen that took their oath as founding members. And after that, other congressmen heard about it, so they have been requesting for another round of oath-taking so that they could also become members of the IAPP Philippines. We are trying to schedule the second round.
Your role in the Philippine chapter, how is it going to be?
I was named the chair, and I shall be working very closely with the president of the IAPP and the vice president, Congressman Batawil and Congressman De Venecia, respectively, even as we will really still need to strengthen the organization. We will need to sit down soon and work out the operational aspect. We need perhaps a Secretary General, we may need a treasurer. These are things that still have to be looked into. So we are on the organization phase of the IAPP.
What kind of influence will the group have as far as legislation is concerned locally in the Philippines?
As I stated earlier, we will be parliamentarians or congressmen that will be using the capabilities of our office to address problems that cause conflict, extremism. Right now we have conflict in Mindanao. We have the NPA, CPP, NDF threat. So these are our own internal conflicts that may be challenges and are in fact the stumbling blocks to achieving peace in Mindanao or even throughout the country. And so as congressmen, we will be focused on legislation that may be able to address this. And not just that, we are not just congressmen, we are also representatives. We represent our districts and our constituents, and we can work towards the resolution of conflict in each of our respective districts.
Let's go to CICC. Go with what happened now sa state sa CICC. Sige, masultin mo ani ko. Nakaroon maragugba na gid kaayo siya.
We can discuss this now because it's very timely.
Yeah. In fact,
meetings of the Association of Southeast Asian
the
Nations
residents of
are ongoing.
in that area, pakuha na sila. So, kasi kasultin mo ano.
Wala ko masulti. I've said my piece. I've said my piece way back last year when I, in fact, filed a case against the present occupant at the Capitol in the office of the Ombudsman. And I hope that they will finally act on it for criminal neglect, because the oft-used excuse of not acting on repairing the CICC because this is the subject of an ombudsman case
Yeah.
has been invalidated with a statement of the ombudsman himself or the deputy ombudsman himself, who stated that you can go ahead and repair. And in fact, right now, I do not know of any pending case on the CICC. And so I filed that case. The entire brief can be requested. I've said all that I need to say. Karon, it's up to the people to say what they should say.
I guess it's already sold to the city of Mandaue.
What?
Yeah, they're going to tear it down.
Pero wala man gipalit kaya I think it's very expensive daw.
I don't know. I don't want to comment. Let's say it on.
The province is planning to sell the property to Mandaue City, but
Yeah.
mahal ra kaayo ang kuan. Ang building itself. Mahal ra ba? But di ba Gov, the lot is owned by Mandaue City government.
Yes.
So the structure is owned by the province.
Yes.
Sure na wala naman. Wala gamit.
Let's go to more national issues.
Okay.
It's been an interesting past 8 months at least in government. There have been many movements. First of all, do you think the moves to oust the president, do you think it will prosper?
I can only answer for Congress,
Yes.
because I'm a member of the House of Representatives. I think you might be referring to the impeachment
Yeah,
complaint.
impeachment complaint.
First of all, theoretically, an impeachment complaint should be sufficient in form and substance.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the theoretical part. The realistic part is, do you have the numbers?
Yeah, that's the question.
Now, of course, that impeachment complaint was filed by a colleague of mine, of ours, Congressman Garcia, will be referred to the Committee on Justice. And this will be reviewed by the committee as to, first of all, to answer the question whether the complaint is sufficient in form and substance. If it is in fact found to be sufficient in form and substance, which I doubt, because from what I understood, the initial complaint referred to acts committed by the president when he was mayor
When he was still a mayor, yes.
of
Davao City.
Davao City. I understand that there has been since a supplemental complaint filed,
Yeah.
which is now referring to the Benham Rice controversy. Now, whether or not the president's action on the Benham Rice issue can be proven to be betrayal of public trust, that remains to be seen. But hypothetically speaking lang, na mupasa sa committee level and the impeachment complaint will be found to be sufficient in form and substance, you go to plenary na.
Plenary.
You will need 97 congressmen
Okay.
to sign that impeachment complaint. Aron, musaka na, mapasaka na ngadto sa Senado. So this is where the realistic part comes in.
Yes.
Because I must say, they don't have the numbers. It's a numbers game. And I don't think there will be 97 congressmen that will sign. If it is any indication at all, the most recent vote on the very controversial death penalty bill should show you how Congress at present stands.
Yes.
We speak of a supermajority. Look at that lopsided, very lopsided voting. 251 in favor, only 54 against it, and 1 abstention, for which one Cebuano congressman shall
Yes.
hold that distinction. So, 251 versus 254, that's a supermajority.
Go, pertaining regarding sa there's a lot of Cebuano lawmakers who upon the death penalty nakakuan siya ang mga pagsaway. Ano sa ikasulti na ito?
We're supposed to discuss that a little bit later.
How
Yeah, we will go back to that. Let's talk first about
The impeachment.
moves to impeach our leaders. Aside from Duterte, there are also moves to impeach.
I understand there already
the vice
is one
president.
impeachment complaint that has been filed by lawyer Oliver Lozano against the vice president. And like the impeachment complaint against the president, then it will go by the same
process.
This will be referred to the Committee on Justice, and again, this will be reviewed as to its being sufficient in form or substance. That's the theoretical part.
Yes.
Then we speak about
The numbers.
The numbers, the
realities.
The Congress
It's
is
a numbers game. But of course, there also has to be basis in order to know. You just cannot say it's a numbers game, although in fact it is. But in order for an impeachment complaint to be credible and acceptable to the people, then such complaint should be sufficient in
Form.
substance. Sige lang ang form kayo, that's, na may report, na may purma sundo, it's very technical anyway, pero ang substance. Now for credibility and public acceptance or acceptability, ang substance should be found to be sufficient. So, we'll see. I understand that there are other groups that are planning to file also impeachment complaints against the Vice President.
Pero go, wala pa man gini naka-start no, sa Congress kaning impeachment move against Lenny. Wala pa gina-tackle.
It cannot be, kay we are now on recess.
Mo
So-
maybe balik ninyo bo ma-tackle na ni siya.
Balik mi sa May 2nd.
May po.
So by then, we believe i-schedule na i-agenda.
Yung agenda mo.
Or first of all, referred na to Committee on Rules. Rules na mo referred to the Committee on Justice.
Then we can talk about the controversial death penalty bill. Of course, you are among the Cebuano legislators who voted in favor of reinstating the death penalty as a capital punishment. Can you please explain once again to our viewers in Cebu your stand, your position on the matter?
Well, I had never deviated from my position. I think it may not be known to so many. The reimposition of the death penalty, which happened in the 9th Congress, was a law for which the House version was principally authored by my father, then Congressman Pablo Garcia. And I had agreed with him then that, in fact, there really needs to be capital punishment as a matter of retributive justice. It's a matter of giving justice to the victim and the families of the victims. Further, it is the obligation and responsibility of the state to protect its people, its constituents, against lawlessness, against those that would tear at the very fabric that holds a society together. And these are the criminals that have committed crimes of such depravity, such evil, that there is no other recourse than for them to be meted out the death penalty. Because, you see, let me tell you a side story. You know that there's death penalty in the state of California.
Yes.
When there was a move to abolish the death penalty, the very first group that lobbied against the abolition were the jail guards.
Yes.
You know why? Because according to them, the most dangerous criminals inside prison walls are those that are on life imprisonment. They have nothing else to fear. Wala na sila kadlukan. So that even within prison itself, they can commit crimes of, that are so depraved, pero
Nothing to lose.
wala man. Kay, total,
Wala na. Death penalty no.
wala may death penalty. And so, if you probably know, naama ba ng gihapon ang death penalty in some states, no, sa United States. So, those are my reasons. In fact, on committee level, I moved for sa Committee on Justice because this, first, this was referred to a subcommittee. On subcommittee level, I voted for the death penalty bill. Pagsaka na sa committee, I was the one that moved for the approval of the committee report to be endorsed to the plenary. In fact, kung inyong tanawon, kadtong bill on the death penalty that passed, I was one of the authors.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So,
Another reason you cited earlier also is that you are voting, or you voted in favor of it because you are supporting the president's war against drugs.
yes, and thank you for reminding me. There was a question na, mao ba nga ni butar ka because you were all whipped into party line
Yes,
line
yes.
position and all, no? Because mao may gusto presidente. But I said, I did not need to be whipped into line because if you would recall, one Cebu, in the final 3 weeks leading up to the elections,
Yeah. 3 weeks.
made a stand and said that one Cebu will be supporting the candidacy of Rodrigo Duterte. And by supporting the candidate, it necessarily meant that you were supporting his platform. His platform then, aside from federalism, had already included the reimposition of capital punishment or the death penalty. And so, there really
This should
is just,
no longer be
it
surprising.
was not an issue with us, with me particularly. As I said, it's just consistency with the position that we have always taken. As I had taken when I was not even yet in public office, when my father authored, or principally authored, the House version of the death penalty, the reimposition of the death penalty by lethal injection. And then, when then candidate Rodrigo Duterte was supported by one Cebu, his candidacy, and together with his candidacy, his platform, which included the death penalty.
One prevailing argument against the death penalty is that reportedly there is no concrete proof that it is a deterrent to crime. What can you say
If you
about
would notice, I never talked about deterrence to crime.
that?
When I gave you my reasons, I never mentioned deterrence to crime because we will get involved into statistics.
Yes.
And it's just a trap, actually, that nobody can win over. People will claim that if during death penalty, crime statistics went up. There were others that would say, when there was death penalty reimposed, the crime statistics went down. Di ta maghuman, ana. For me, dili yun na, para nako, dili rason. But when I talked to my father about this, I said, you know what, Dad? There's always the tendency to get caught up in that kind of argument. Nga it's a deterrent to crime. Anya, ana na sila, mag-istorya ng statistics.
Statistics na.
Oh, volume of crime, index or non-index, blah, blah, blah. Ikaw, Dad, retributive justice man yun. It's about justice for the victims. Unya, nga namang istorya of the state's responsibility to protect its citizens. Hindi siya, ay nanalanggay. Deterrent man na sa crime. Nga naman dad, upat yun animong kriminal, di you're going to deter him from committing further crimes.
In making decisions like this, or positions like this, How much consultation do you have with your constituents in the 3rd district?
You know, that was also a reason that I gave, no? That sa 3rd district, that is the overwhelming sentiment sa mga constituents napo sa 3rd district. Nga kadaghanan, you know, these are the ordinary folks. Ka mga tao mo ato ko barangay, mga tanak ko, iba ba ang mga hasta karon magabot-abot ba gihapon ko sa mga kabukiran.
Artista.
I'm still doing what I used to do as governor. Kaya maduol yun ako mga tao because I find the most joy nga akong kaistorya bagid na sila ba. They open up.
Shouldn't people in Congress do that actually?
Oh my God, that's why I'm doing it. Sa manto ko, niya mangutanan ko. You know, sa simple lang din kayo nila tao nga lingwahe. May man gina ba? Kay grabe na gid kayo ning mga krimen ron, wa nagikadlukan. Mora gyud tubag. Grabe. May na kay para ka na ang mga tao na mahadlok na sila. They would not argue on the complex inunta mga reasoning nga akong gihatag nga retributive justice nga kaning unsa pa the state nga has the obligation to protect. And inargue, wa na ikadlukan. Grabe na kaayo ng mga krimen karon. Wala na. So, I voted in accordance with the sentiments of my constituents in the 3rd district. And I think if you would conduct a survey, I think surveys had been conducted.
Yeah.
Mas daghan man yun ang preferred nga ibalik ang death penalty.